Bam! Yeah, that's me. How's it going, guys? Token Vaping. So today's review is, this review is going to be a little different. It's not on a specific flavor. It's actually on a device that I was able to purchase a few weeks ago. I've had it for a little while. I've been using it for a little while, and I figured, I know there's a lot of people out there that are into the technical specs of a device that want to know all the ins and outs. In general, a lot of vapors nowadays that I come across or that I deal with, they are interested in some aspects of that, but they're not as worried about every single nook and cranny of a device. They just are more about just the general usage of it, how it feels, how it holds up, things like that. So, I mean, I can spout off all the technical specs of a device, just like the next guy, but I'm going to be honest with you, I'm not a huge detail expert when it comes to all the specifics about a device. So I'm basically just going to give a general rundown about this device, and just maybe it might help the everyday vapor, so to speak, as far as if they're just trying to decide on something that they've seen or heard, but either because they're not as worried about all the 19,000 different things a device can do. They just want to know some basic things about that. And it also helps keep the video a bit shorter, so it's a little bit easier to watch. And, I'm not trying to draw this out super long or make people not want to watch. There are a few top level reviewers that have done a true in-depth on these devices, and you can find them all on there. They're basically idols or heroes of mine. A lot of them are the reasons why I started doing reviews myself, but like Suck My Mod and Ruby Roo are two main ones. Sophie Vapes is another one. So big shout out and a thank you to them. But a lot of them have gone into a bit more in depth than, I try to keep it a bit more simple, a bit more simplistic, a bit more just, real for me. But the device that I'm going to be talking about is the new Predator from Wismec, and it's made by Wismec. It was designed by Sinuous Designs. It's a gentleman that helped with the design of the device. Wismec made the device, and yes, you can basically tell what this is basically kind of copied after, and hence the name Predator. So I will be doing a short comparison video between this one and the Smoke Alien kit. But this is mainly just going to be on the device. Now, I was able to get the kit, so it comes with a tank, the Alabo tank. I'm going to do a separate review on the tank just to keep the time frame a bit shorter, so it's not as drawn out and you're sitting here trying to watch a 25, 30, 35 minute long video. In all of that, so I'm just going to I'll do two separate videos, one on the tank, one on the device. This specifically is just on the device, but I got the one in red for the black and red because you all know I have a Sith Lord thing. But this is the device, and there's the Sinuous Design logo right there. A pretty large screen on here. Your up and down button, your regulatory buttons here, USB charging port here. The black, basically you could call it the trim. Now I'll get to that here in a second. The bottom, there is the flap. It has a push spring-loaded button flap to open and close the flap thing so that it locks. It's not just a force push and then it stays on like that. There is actually a little switch lock that keeps it there. Now you hear that rattling there. It goes away once batteries are in this. That's just because there is spacing there. Back's pretty plain. And then there's your 510 connection, which is, off to one side, as standard on a lot of these devices are. That's basically the bulk of the device. It is 86.7 millimeters tall. It's 43.6 millimeters wide, and then the depth of it is 29 millimeters. The short way. Now this is I'm getting the exact measurements off the website itself, wismec.com. You can find all of the specifications on the device there, as well as the firmware upgrade for it, and then just any other information that you're wanting to know specifically about this. Now the box itself, looks like this, and that is the stainless steel with the black. There is the Alabo tank here. It says Predator 228. It goes up to 228 watts. Designed by Sinuous Designs, manufactured by Wismec. Predator 228 on one side, Wismec.com on one end, Predator 228 on the other side, and then Wismec on the other side there. And then in the box, you get the device, obviously, that hopefully would make sense. You get a user's manual on the device itself, and then you get a user manual for the Labo tank itself. You get your connection cord. Now this can also be used to charge the device. Regardless of anything else, the safest way to charge your batteries is always with an external separate battery charger. But if you do charge through the device, it does have a 2 amp charging rate, so it does charge really fast. You get your Labo tank here, and like I said, I will do a separate video on this tank, and then it comes with a separate coil. And I believe, and then it just has a safety card for your batteries. So pretty standard as far as the kits and everything else that come with it, and what comes with all of that. Now the device itself, like I said, does go up to 228 watts. Temp control wise, temperature range, it'll go from 100 to 350 degrees Celsius, 200 and 600 degrees Fahrenheit in temp control mode. For temperature control mode, it will operate nickel, titanium, stainless steel, and then it has the temperature controller resistance option, which basically gives you a much more detailed hands-on as far as specific settings on setting your temp control and the range and basically where it can stop and things like that. Like I said, I'm not a temperature control person. I don't use it. All the devices that I've ever used have temp control. I've never messed with it, so I'm not even going to attempt to try to explain, all the details about that, because I don't want to misinform anybody. I strictly just use the wattage on my devices. This will go from 1 to 228 watts, and it will put out, it goes from 0.1 to a 3.5 ohm resistance range. So it has a really wide range on there, so it pretty much will cover the bulk of what most people will normally use, whether it's a tank or like a dripper RDA or RDTA style. It does have the maximum charging rate of 2 amps. It has a maximum output current of 50 amps, and then an output voltage range of 0.5 to 9 volts. And that's basically going to be the main, the detailed specs of the device itself. Like I said, I'm not going to try to go into super detail with it, just because I'm not as expert on things like that as some other people out there. Like one of the guys that I watch a lot myself of is Matt from Suck My Mod. He does phenomenal reviews, goes super in depth with a lot of them, gives you the full ins and outs of everything. If you're wondering anything about, like the specifics of like every detail about the device, definitely check out his channel. The user manual for this, I was actually thumbing through it a little bit. It actually is a lot more in depth than a lot of other user manuals that I have come across for other devices. Most of them usually just describe what they are, the different parts of it, tell you how to turn it on, turn it off, things like that, and that's about it. This goes actually in depth to all the specifications about the menu, how to get into the menu, how to do the temp control, how to do this, how to do that. Like I said, I mainly use the wattage aspect of it, so I'm basically just going to kind of focus more on that for myself, and then just give you my personal opinion about it. But there is the 510 connection, and it does have a floating 510 pin in there as well. It will hold up to about a 25 millimeter diameter top before you start worrying about whether or not it's going to have a overlap on the top. So I'm going to go ahead and throw batteries in here, and like in most devices. Now this actually is a con of mine, as you can see right here. It basically, even though there is a lock button on the bottom and it has a flip on it, it doesn't always pop open immediately when you try. Now it is a safety feature, so I mean you can argue, well, that just keeps it from getting super loose. But I mean, sitting here like this, doing this a couple of times trying to get this to open, can be a little frustrating. It's not a super bad con, but it does tend to get a little irritating, honestly. If I can actually get this open. And then actually, while I have that closed, it does have vents on the side as well for the batteries. Come on, really? When you have the batteries in the device and you go to open the door, it's easy because basically if you just hold it facing down, the weight of the batteries will basically pop the door open. But with no weight on there, this thing honestly just kind of tends to want to be, there we go, after like 24 tries. It does have the positive and negative to show you which way the batteries go in, and it does have the separate channels in there. Now, it does have a reverse polarity on the batteries, meaning that there is an accessory separate that you can purchase that will let you use this as a charging bank to charge other devices. It looks like a round USB plug that will attach to the top. You plug in your USB, you plug it into whatever device you want to charge, like your phone or something like that, and the reverse polarity on it will actually do, or the reverse charging on it will actually charge your other items. So that's kind of cool that the device does that. I haven't experienced it yet. I haven't tried it yet. I don't know how dependable it is or how solid it is, whether or not it heats up the device more or something like that. So I will find out about that and see what I can do to test that out as well. Real quick, your batteries, the button top is your positive, the flat side is your negative. So I'm going to do the button side for your positive side, and then the flat top for the negative. Close this. And then, like I said, when there's batteries in there, you don't have that rattle. So it is pressure sensitive there. So that is your screen, and that is really blurry. Sorry about the focusing issue. But basically, you have your logo up on top. You have your separate battery power levels right in here for 1 and 2, and it's basically whichever side they're on, that's the battery that it's looking on. It does have your voltage, your ohms, your puffs, and then your and then it has the amps. Sorry, I don't know why I just drew a blank. Now, the other cool thing that I like about this device, like there are on other devices as well, they're starting to become more common. The fire button is considered a stealth or hidden fire button, but it's this side here, but it's the top half of this side. It's not the whole bottom. You can squeeze the bottom, it's not going to do anything. You push this side, it's not going to do anything. If you push this top, you hear the click, and then it's firing. And then it's basically just going to say no atomizer discovered. So I'm going to just go ahead and put my top on. I'm just going to throw my goon. It's just got a standard. It's got a standard dual 7 wrap up top right there, and then on here, as it shows the ohms, it ohms out to a 0.31. And then for the volts, it's showing at a 4.82. And then wattage wise, it's at 75 watts, and then it switches over to the logo. You can turn that logo on and off. You just have to go into the menu. It's 3 clicks, or no, it's a hold the fire button and then the right regulatory button, and it'll get into the logo. You can turn that on and off. 5 clicks on, 5 clicks off. We'll turn it on and off that way. And then there's going to be basically, when you go into, it's 3 clicks to get into the menu itself to change it from wattage over to temp control, and then in there, once you get into temp control, then there's a couple of adjustments on the regulatory buttons to change which you're using, whether it's titanium, stainless steel, nickel, or you're going into the TCR and then adjusting that. That's basically the gist of it. Like I said, I don't mess with it a whole lot. I basically keep it on wattage, so it's 75 watts. I'm going to go ahead and juice this real quick so you can see this hit. And I'm using Immortality from Philosopher's Stone. It's a strawberry custard. I've done reviews on this line already, so you can check those out as well. I'm just a big fan of this particular flavor. So at 75 watts, which is about the standard of what I vape at, it can go higher, it can go lower. But at 75 watts, this is going to be the Predator device. Now, like I said, mainly this was just a quick rundown on the device itself. I like this device a lot because it's solid in the hand. Now, I know people are going to compare it to the Smoke Alien. Feel-wise, it's about the same. I'm not fully sure what it is yet. When I do my comparison video between the two devices and I'm holding both of them, I'll probably get a better idea. But for some reason, this version of it has more of a solid feel in the hand. It feels more secure, I I guess is the easiest way to say it. I like the fact that the button doesn't have as a loud clicky sound to it. I mean, it is a slight click, but it's not super loud. It's not like just a loud popping sound. I like the switch on the door for the security of it, the making it more secure. Although I do get irritated with the fact that it doesn't open easily, if there are no batteries in it. But like I said, it's a personal con. It's not a deal breaker for the device itself. Firing wise, I mean, it fires smooth. No matter what I've thrown on this thing, it fires. I haven't had any mishits. I haven't had any, lapse in time. It hits solid. It fires, smoothly for me. Screen basically is pretty simple. I mean, it's got the different things listed on there, but compared to most of the devices that are out there right now, it's just as basic. It's not anything complicated. You pretty much know what everything is right there. Right and left buttons are pretty solid right in here as well. You don't have to worry about accidentally pushing down on it. You can lock them if you press the right and left at the same time. It will lock those buttons there. But overall, I mean, it's a rock solid device. I picked mine up at vapenorthwest.com. I'll go ahead and put that link in the comment box for anybody that's interested. I know they are having a pretty decent deal on them at the moment. But overall, I mean, it's hard to say because there's a bunch of different devices out there that all do similar things, and basically that's where a lot of people are coming down to, well, which is better, which is the best one to have, and it really comes down to a personal preference. To me, honestly, there really isn't any one single best device, in my opinion. Everybody's going to have a different preference to it. Some people are going to feel this thing and be like, oh my God, I love the way this feels. Some people may feel it and be like, it's bulkier than what I wanted. I'm looking for something a little bit smaller. I don't know if I want to deal with 2 batteries all the time as opposed to 1. So, I mean, it really just is going to come down to preference. For the money and for what it is, like for me, I just deal with the wattage on this. I don't go super fancy on it. I'm not firing it super high wattage or super high temps, things like that. For what it is as a daily, everyday device, I would definitely recommend it to anybody and everybody who's looking for, a solid device that isn't going to break the bank, but isn't going to be, a cheap piece of plastic that's, not going to last them very long. Like I said, it runs smooth, it runs fine. The black on this is definitely going to pick up fingerprints and the oil off your hands, but they do make silicone cases and sleeves for this. I'm honestly surprised I haven't gotten one yet. I'm that type of person. But overall, I mean, it's a good device. It's worth the money, it's worth the investment, especially if you're just looking to get one device and just call it good after that and just want something that's going to run multiple different tops on it and not have to worry about it. So, I mean, overall, in my opinion, you couldn't go wrong if you picked up this device. It's not going to be a bad choice. It's not going to be a bad investment. It's definitely worth the money. It's easy enough to use without having to go too in depth with it, but if you want to go more in depth with it, it does give you that option to make it feel like you have a lot more control with the device itself. But definitely check it out. It's the Predator 228 from Wismec, designed by Sinuous Designs. Mine I purchased from Vape Northwest, and I'll put all those links in the comment box as well. I do apologize, this did drag out a little bit longer than I was trying for it to, but definitely check them out. As always, I'm Token Vaping. I'm here on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, and Pinterest. Anything that I can do myself to help make vaping more enjoyable for you, that's all I want to try to do and help as many people as I can. So definitely reach out to me if there's something specific that you're looking for or curious about or wanting to know. But until next time, morning, noon, and night, no matter what, always truly love yourself. Vape on, vape strong. Have a good day, guys.